Welcome everybody to the very first episode of Inspection Matters. In this in this series, what we're going to do is deep dive into the world of real estate, bringing you insights, trends, and valuable advice from industry experts. I'm Stephen Paternak, the team leader at the Paternak Real Estate Team, and I'm a passionate realtor committed to helping you navigate the ever-changing landscape of buying and selling homes. Today, we have a very, very, very special guest, Joshua Stone, the founder of Stone Home Inspections. With years of experience under his belt, Josh has become a trusted name in ensuring that homes meet the highest standards. Stone Home Inspections is renowned for its thoroughness, professionalism, and committed to providing peace of mind to its clients. In our conversation today, we're going to explore Josh's journey into the home inspection industry, the challenges he's faced along the way, and lessons he's learned from becoming a successful business owner. We're also going to dive into what makes a home inspection so crucial for you in the home buying process. So, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Joshua Stone.
Good morning, Stephen. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, man. How you doing this morning, Josh?
I can't complain. We got inspections going on right now as we speak. So life is good.
That's good. That's good. Now, I'm going to jump right in if you don't mind. When you say we, can you tell me a little bit about the team? I mean, I know it's not just you that's running this ship here, right?
Correct. So thankfully, we have a nice team going. I have my wife who mans the phones, Danielle, who's her assistant. I have 5 additional inspectors, and 2 of them speak Spanish. So they all train directly under me. They do things exactly the way I want things done. I review all reports to make sure that they are up to my standards before they go out. And so that's a team. So, I mean, thankfully, even if I can't do an inspection myself, you know that you're getting somebody who's reliable and does a great job.
How important is it to make sure that you have that bilingual aspect?
It's extremely important, in my opinion. I mean, the biggest dynamic, which you probably see with all these organizations like the Lore and NARA. So there's a huge influx of buyers who are Hispanic. I'd say that's probably our number one buyer right now is the Hispanic market. So to be able to have people who can communicate with them well, it just goes a long way. It gives them a feeling of comfort, because sometimes, yes, they do speak English, but their English might not be as good as it should be, or that they feel comfortable really understanding what's happening. So we have 2 Spanish-speaking inspectors, and it's just great to have them.
Yeah, it's important, especially when you get into the technical aspects of it, right? Like, you could explain to somebody how to, give directions or something, but when you're talking about like engineering or different reports, I imagine that having somebody that speaks their language is something that brings them a sense of comfort that they normally wouldn't have.
100%. I mean, I try and do my best. I grew up with an El Salvadorian family. Being like, I was part of the family, so my Spanglish is pretty good, but it's just not, it's not where I need it to be. So we have a great inspector who's from Ecuador. He's fantastic, and we have another inspector who's Cuban. So my start happened a while ago, and I started my business in 2016, I believe. But going back before that, I was NYPD. So I was NYPD for 20 years. And going back before that, I actually was in the mortgage industry for a brief time. So I was a loan officer before you needed to have a license. Everybody was a loan officer at that time. So it was like late 90s. And it was just kind of the Wild West of mortgages. So like I said, people go from delivering pizza to being loan officers. And we saw what happened in 2008. So I joined the NYPD in 2000. At that point, I was at a crossroads. I was getting calls from different lenders, and they wanted me to work for them, and really they wanted to train me the right way. But I got a call from the NYPD, and I said, you know what? I am going to go the NYPD route. I'll still do mortgages on the side. So when I was on the job, I was known as like the mortgage guy in the command. So that was pretty cool. I did a lot of refinances and purchases for my fellow NYPD brothers and sisters in blue. And in 2008, I kind of got out of that business because once they required the licensing, I was like a little bit hesitant about going forward. So I kind of put all my eggs in one basket with the NYPD, and I just thought that was life. I heard something recently from some people that I'm in a mastermind group with, and they were saying that they were in the gym, and they were talking to somebody, and they asked them, "Oh, how's your day?" And they said, basically, same crap every day, right? So
Mm-hmm.
you know the saying. I asked them, I said, well, when they said that, I said, what do they do for work? And they said, oh, they're a bus driver. I said, well, there you go. So no matter what, if you're on the job or you're at a job and you work 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, someone else is basically in control of your schedule, and you're like a slave to the grind. So I was a slave to the grind for 20 years. I was in a really good spot in the NYPD in 2014. I had a nice inside gig. Everything was great. Life was beautiful. I had my babies at home. And then all of a sudden, I got a call that they were shipping me out to the 4-7 precinct, which is in the Bronx. It's a little rough. So going from being inside to going outside again, working midnights on solo foot posts, kind of triggered me to start looking at another avenue to take control of my life and take control of my income. So I was kind of exploring different things. I was thinking maybe I'll get back into mortgages. Maybe I'll become a realtor. I kind of was talking to my realtor about possibly doing that. And then, believe it or not, I was at a barbecue in my neighborhood in Yorktown at the time, and one of my neighbors told me he was a home inspector, and he said he was teaching the class. He's like, you should take the class. Maybe you'll like it. So I spoke to my wife. I mean, things were, it was definitely tough trying to struggle by just on the NYPD salary to cough up a few $1,000s and gamble that I'm going to be a home inspector. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I did. I gambled on it. I took the course, and it's kind of funny when I think really what kind of gave me the push was when you go into the school, you have to do what's called mock inspections. So you have to go out and do unpaid inspections. You need 10 of them to basically be able to submit your paperwork and get your license. So it
Interesting.
was like, I don't know if they were picking on me, but they were like, hey, Josh, we're going to use your report to give to the homeowner. Okay. I'm like, great. So I'm working the NYPD, and they put a lot of pressure on me that I really had to, like, somebody real is going to look at this
Yeah.
report. And it just kind of drove me to being a perfectionist. And that was really how it started. I mean, thankfully they kind of picked on me, and it pushed me to be better at what I was doing. And but it was hard starting out. I'll tell you
Yeah.
honestly, it was very difficult.
Well, it's a dual career, right? So you're working your job as in the NYPD, and now you're starting to this sort of second career, in home inspections. Now, when you first started, did you
Yeah.
work as just an inspector for a company, or did you right out the gate decide that I'm gonna start my own business?
I started my own business just because that's kind of like how the course outline goes. If I could have done it over, if somebody would have offered me an opportunity, I probably would have taken them up on it just to kind of hone my skills before I went out there in the wild. But I mean, that's where my guys just have so much of a leg up because they work with me, and we just guide them along. I was kind of like, when you get out of the class, like people are like, oh yeah, it's just a 4-month class. It's no big deal. It's a big deal. Like, you're out there, we're literally doing inspections. If you miss something, you can cost somebody tens of thousands of dollars. So
Yeah,
it's no joke, and really the requirements are not very difficult. So
it's like
they
becoming
should
a
be probably a
realtor.
little bit stricter. They're not.
Yeah, so
Yes,
becoming a realtor too, right? Like
you get to learn through.
when I first started as an agent, it was a 40-hour course. You took a school test and a state test, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, Department of State says you could become a realtor. So now I'm entrusted with having, people make probably the biggest decision of their lives financially as to whether they buy the home or whether they sell the home. And you kind of just got to learn on your feet, right?
100%, 100%. That's what it is. You learn, you make connections. Just like you. I mean, you could always reach out to me if you see something that you need, an answer on. You could always reach out to me, and I'm going to give you the answer. So I have some
Which
trusted
I've done
resources that
numerous
have guided
times,
me along, and
which I've done numerous times.
always
Thank
a
you for
pleasure,
that.
my friend. Of course,
All
anytime,
right. So
anytime.
I want
Anytime.
to kind of go through the timeline. All right, so right out of the gate, you're like, all right, this course that you took outlined for you to open your own business. All right, so now Josh is a home inspector. So I know that your partner, your wife, plays a very integral part in your business. So did the two of you decide that you're going to work in this business together, or was it something that you kind of did on your own and then you just needed the help? How did that transition work?
So good question. So how that went was I basically started the company. I got a business phone. So I had my two phones and the business phone wasn't ringing at all. It would not ring. So I'm like, what do I do to make this phone ring? Right. So I guess I put like a little blurb on Facebook. Hey, I'm a home inspector. And I had a couple of friends reach out to me and they said, oh, yeah, we're looking to buy a house. So they hired me. And I just kind of was like, you know what? I should probably take some pictures of me doing this. And so that's what I did. I just started taking some pictures, posting them, set up a website. And my biggest break, I'd say, was, believe it or not, when I would go to the shooting range, right? When you're on the job, you have to go shoot your gun every 6 months. So I went to the shooting range and I saw that someone had a flyer on the wall and it was a home buying seminar. The guy's retired and he's like, basically he's like, come to the seminar, learn about buying a house. So I reached out to him. Props to Scotty Williamson. And so Scotty, I reached out to him. He called me right away. He's like, hey, I'm looking for a home inspector to refer. And the phone started ringing. And then as
Ah,
the phone rang, I would meet realtors. They would like me. They would start calling me. And business kind of progressed from there. And that's where my wife comes in. So I would go to work and my business phone started ringing. And
ah.
my boss wasn't too happy about that. My other coworkers weren't too happy about that. So I said to my wife, I said, look, I know you don't know what's going on, but let me try and fill you in. And you're going to answer the phone when I go into work at 6 p.m. And believe it or not, when she started answering the phone, everyone loved her. And I'm like, all right, the phone's yours.
Well, I
So,
believe it. I believe it because I know your wife,
so
so I believe it.
yeah. Yeah. It's been a good transition that kind of happened out of necessity, and she's like she's just so driven by it now. So I can't even imagine her not being by my side helping me with this. It's incredible.
Gotcha. That's a beautiful
You
thing.
know.
Do
So,
you how do you balance how do you do the work life balance? I mean, I know you got a family and but then there's always business. So how does that work?
It's very difficult. The work life balance is kind of out of balance a lot of the time. We have three children, and it's just like, thankfully they're not in sports, but they're in different activities. And I mean, even I'll give you, for an example on Sunday. On Sunday, I had to go do a quick walk through the house. I needed 10 minutes. The kids waited in the car. My wife waited in the car. Then we went out to breakfast. Then we had to go do a water pickup together in the car, dropped them off at home. Then I had to go pick up a radon test, and
Uh-huh.
then we hung out together and had some dinner. So that was Sunday. That's my day off.
Yep.
So we work through it. The kids are used to it, and but balance is something that we're still trying to manage,
It's something that we
which I'm
all
sure you
strive
know
to
is
get.
very difficult in this.
Yeah, I work. Jen
Yeah.
obviously is on my team and actually a partner on my team now, and we find ourselves at dinner and like literally like having to turn the phone off, turn the phone upside down. All right, we're not going to talk about business for the next 45 minutes, even though you've got three or four deals going on, and it's definitely a struggle. I know exactly what you're saying. All right,
Yeah, it's
so
difficult. I mean, we go out to dinner. We do.
go ahead. I'm listening.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is
No, I
like
was gonna say we do. There's a bit of a delay, but yeah. So my wife and I, we definitely make a point to have a date night once a week, and I would say probably half the time we do talk about business, but the other half we talk about life. So, but we do make time for each other, which is super important.
yeah, yeah. I'm noticing a very small delay as well. Are you getting that delay also or no?
Somewhat, but probably more on your end.
Gotcha. Okay. Um, all right. So So now you've started this business, and when did you realize that you needed more inspectors? How did that when did that realization come, and how did you find the people for that?
So I basically was working like a dog. I would work from six. I would work the NYPD. I had a really nice gig where I was working inside. I was working midnight shift from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. and it was not easy, but I managed. And then I would do inspections all day. Sometimes I would do 3 or 4 inspections in a day after working at midnight. I would stop at my mother-in-law's house in Yonkers, and then like by 10 o'clock in the morning, I was doing inspections. I would stop home and see my family and then go back to work and do it again. And it was kind of like something where I was talking to one of my good friends, Vinny, which I think you met Vinny. So Vinny was one of my mountain bike buddies. And I told him, look, if you want to change your life, like I have enough work for you, come work with me. And Vinny was, a little hesitant. And eventually he said, you know what, I'll try it. He was also a cop. And he's like, I'll try it. So he came out with me. I trained him. He took the course, and then it was just kind of like it just kind of seamlessly happened where I just knew I had enough work. I could say I need to balance my life a little bit, and I have enough where I can start giving it out. I kind of didn't know how to do that. I just kind of rolled with the punches, and before you know it, I had enough for Vinny, and I had enough for me, and I had enough for one other guy, and and it just keeps flowing. So we have enough for the team, and it just kind of progressed. So I think we're at a point right now where we're really good and we have a solid team. And I haven't felt the way I feel now probably ever, that I could literally put my foot on the throttle and try and get more business, like, and just drive it to the point where we know we're going to cover every job that comes in. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. Being able to lead generate, we us realtors, we call it lead generation. It's extremely difficult to do that and balance getting the work done. So, listen, I've met almost all of your inspectors at this point. And all of them are extremely well qualified, and they explain things because it's tricky, right? Like, as an inspector, you're like, okay, I'm noticing this over here, I'm noticing that issue over here, but I don't want to blow this deal up. So it's kind of like communication is huge, especially how you guys are
Yes.
explaining it to the buyers, and then us realtors having to be able to then say, okay, let's kind of figure out a way to make this make sense. Or if the issue is bad enough, then the deal just gets blown up. So have you had any issues, or like what's your experience when it comes to that, like having to communicate with clients without having to piss off the sellers or the realtors in the situation?
It's kind of like it's like walking on eggshells sometimes, but it depends on really the agent. So the agent really is someone that could basically say, all right, Josh found this, or Josh's guy, let's say Angel found this problem, but everything could be fixed. Okay, it's just a matter of how much money you have to throw at the problem. So it's like, okay, Steve, and if you ask me, hey, Josh, what do you think of this? Is it a deal killer, or are we just trying to negotiate? Well, that's where we talk. I feel like as long as people trust you and trust the other agents that they're out with, I feel like you're going to have a decent transaction, especially when you're a seasoned agent. When you walk on a property, you're going to see things that they're not going to see just because of your
Mm-hmm.
experience. So I
Yep.
find that a lot of deals fall apart when they go to an open house and they find a house by themselves and say, hey, we want to make an offer. And the
Mm,
realtor's like, yeah, we'll make an offer for you, but the agent never saw the house. And then we
yeah.
get there and it's like, hey, like if you were there, you would have seen this problem. So,
Yeah.
like at that point, you're like, listen, I don't blame the inspector because I didn't see the house, but they wanted me to put an offer in. So I would strongly suggest that before you waste your time and waste their money, you go and you screen the house for them. Say, hey, that's great. Well, I want to make an offer for you, but let me go look at the house real quick, um, because
Yeah.
that can make a huge difference.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's actually a really good point. I never actually thought about that, but now that you bring it up, when I'm touring a house with a client, I'm always pointing out different things to them as if I'm an inspector, because I've been in hundreds of houses throughout my career and I do have experience a little bit, albeit a small amount of experience in construction. So that actually is a very good point, and it's important for buyers and sellers also to know. And this is not me knocking new agents. I think that everybody who works and does things honestly and seeking the information can do a good job. But it's the importance of dealing with somebody that's been in the business for a while and has been through the experiences that you're not going to find in a book, you know? And
100%.
yeah, that's a really good point. So,
Yeah. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
I was going to say the other thing that I find that kind of kills the deal is not even the house. It's if you're taking one of the buyers out and there's two buyers, and then one of them loves the house and the other one didn't see it. Then we get to inspection and the husband, let's say, is like, I really don't like the house, and
Uh-huh.
then there you go. So it's definitely those are the two things that I feel. I feel bad when it comes to the realtors when they're out there wasting their time and then the people are wasting their money because if the spouses aren't on board, then the deal falls apart on itself. So
Yeah. I've been in that situation before where the husband or the wife will come look at the house and then they're like, okay, yeah, we want to put an offer. And I'm like, I strongly suggest that we get the other decision maker, whether it's your partner, whether it's your maybe a parent or somebody like that, into the house as well before we do this, because they think like we just snap our fingers and there's an offer and then all of a sudden, but it takes numerous phone calls. It takes probably about 20 to 30 minutes of work putting the offer together, crafting the right offer and the way to put it together. And you're right. People just waste their money, and dealing with buyers that are educated on the process, I think also helps tremendously in getting deals closed.
absolutely.
All right. So is there anything that you would have done differently now, looking back when you started your business? Is there anything you would have done differently to maybe streamline it a little bit, or anything that maybe would have helped you that you know now that you didn't know back then?
Ah, wow. That's a loaded question. I guess I did things right because we really took off. So I really don't think I would have changed anything. Um, Everything kind of lined up the way it was supposed to line up, and that's what put us in the position we're in now. I mean, thankfully, we're the highest rated company in the New York area. Like, there's not even a company that comes close. Just Google us, you'll see. There's
Yeah.
nobody close. So I guess we've been doing things right, and we're going to continue to do that. So
What role does technology play
maybe
in your business?
what's that?
I said, what role does technology play in your business?
Technology is everything. Technology is everything. So everything we do is on an iPad. Like there's no more. I mean, I had a home inspection done before iPads existed, and it was all on paper. So now we have these beautiful reports that are all electronic. We have ways to see the roof. Whether we can't get on it, it's not a big deal. We have pole cameras that with GoPros on them, we can see the roof. Drones if needed. We even check the sewer line. I have a sewer scope, which I feel like I'm one of the first companies in the area that were even doing sewer scope inspections, and now everybody's getting on the bandwagon. But technology is just getting better, and we embrace it. So literally anything that comes out that I can make, you know, the process better and more in depth without being invasive, I'm in. So
Good, good. What is the most rewarding aspect of owning the business, starting the business? What's your most rewarding aspect of this?
the most rewarding, I would say, would be honestly, and I say this with all honesty, it's like I've done a few inspections the past year where the inspection goes well, and literally the clients are basically tearing up, almost crying on my shoulder, that they're just so happy that everything is just lining up. And I mean that. Like when I see people just totally in love with their house, happy that everything went well, and you hear their stories. You hear these people's stories, whether they had a sickness or something like that, and they finally got something that's lining up for them. I would say that's the most rewarding part.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Helping people achieve goals and playing such a pivotal part for me, and you and I have a very similar personality. For me as well, that's just extremely rewarding when you look back, because we're businessmen, right? So it's like, all right, cool. How many inspections did I do in 2023? Okay, I did whatever, 150. All right, so the goal for 2024 is going to be 200. But each one of those inspections, you're helping somebody make a life-changing decision. So yeah, I definitely agree with that aspect.
Yes.
All right, Josh, I don't want to keep you too long because we started a bit late, but I wanted to just say thank you very much for joining us this morning. And I'm looking forward to our next talk where we can actually dive a little bit deeper into the inspection process and start giving people really practical advice on things they should or shouldn't look for.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. So is there anything you wanted to add? What I'm going to do, by the way, is I'm going to just throw on the banner here. I've got your email address and I assume that this was the office number that you had given me to put up here. So they'll be calling your wife and not you. So I have that contact information here below. Is there anything you'd like to add before we cut out for the day?
Yeah, I just want to add that there's a big change. So if there's any realtors that are watching this, I'm sure you're aware of it, but the property condition disclosure is changing come March. So my wife and I put out a message the other day about this, and we feel strongly that that people should get a pre-listing inspection done because the liability is going to stick with the seller. So definitely something to consider. So anyone watching this should consider that. And I just want to throw it out there that anyone that uses our services, they get free moving supplies after the inspection. They can get a free alarm installation. They can get discounted painting services, and they can get discounted like cleanup services. Like, so if the house needs a deep cleaning, they call us. We have a company that gives discounts on that as well. So just a lot of value.
That's awesome, man. Josh, thank you so much, and I truly appreciate it. And everybody, thank you for joining us, and look out for episode 2 of Inspection Matters. Take care, everybody.
All right. Have a great day, Steve.
See you later, Josh.